This is Cashing Out on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, welcome into Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo. We're going to have some fun here on a Tuesday night. Plenty of live action across the NBA, the NHL, and of course, Major League Baseball. As we've got a ticket to sweat out together. Didn't give it out yesterday. Got there about an hour or so ago, maybe 2 hours ago by now. Tweeted it out. That's why you have to follow the show on Twitter, at the Joe Ceraulo. We're going to be sweating out the Padres money line, minus 25 cents. Jumped out to a 3-0 lead in Sacramento, top of the first. Coughed up 6 in the bottom of the first. Got one back, 6-4. The Athletics lead San Diego in the third inning. Something tells me the scoring ain't done yet. So I'm not sweating that ticket out just yet, as the Athletics own a 6-4 lead. They're nearly $4 favorites. If you want to pounce on the Padres now alongside me and say, hey, we're in this together, you can get San Diego money line plus 270. You can also take them plus 2.5, minus 54 cents. A's minus 2.5 is plus 20 cents. That live total, which pre-flop was living right around 8.5, is now 15.5 with 10 runs in, what are we at? 2.5 innings of work, bottom of the third, commencing now in Sacramento, 6-4 A's. Some other Major League Baseball, the Brewers about to win it in Colorado. It's the 8th inning, Milwaukee up 7-1. They're laying 5.5 on the run line, but you got to lay 88 cents for that. I'd consider that unbettable. You've got the Astros and the Mariners. Maybe first 5 unders are the play whenever Seattle's out there. Nothing in the 5th. Live total, 3.5. Mariners, minus 45 cents on the live money line. Houston, plus $1.14. Arizona trying to exact revenge on the O's, 4-2 D-backs. 5th inning. They are nearly $5 favorites at home in the desert. Live total, 10.5. 6 runs through 5 innings. Ball flies there. Makes sense. And then another under team, the Reds, 1-0. They lead. Nick Lodolo on the bump for Cincinnati up in the Bay Area. 1-0 there in the 6th. Live total, 4.5. Reds, $2.40 favorites. San Fran plus $1.80 on their home field. Over in the NBA, got a lot to say about some games that wrapped up, but how about the games going on right now? Golden State Phoenix, they're about to hit the half. Dubs up 69-43 at the break. 26-point lead. They're laying 26.5 on the live number. Juice 15 cents each way. Clippers, a minute to go in the first quarter. Lead San Antonio 24-22. They are 11.5-point favorites live. So that's what's going on in the NBA. Over on the ice, we've got a blowout in Utah. Second intermission, 7-0. Utah Hockey Club. I actually want to bring this up because I believe I got a note on Twitter from VSiN hockey expert Jonathan Davis. If you aren't following him at West Coast Hockey, you're missing out. And Jonathan messaged me. It was actually last night during Cashing Out. He goes, Kraken back-to-back Tuesday, 0-11, second half of back-to-back this season, scored 2 or less 10 of the 11, shut out 4 times, oppositions covered the puck line 10 of the 11. This guy is an encyclopedia. He's a machine. That's why we love having him on the program. Again, if you want to follow VSiN's hockey expert, Jonathan Davis, at West Coast Hockey, HKY on Twitter. What a great note on the Kraken. Well, sure as anything, they're down 7-0 at the second intermission in Utah. The Utah Hockey Club, not a particularly strong team. But Seattle, this team, just the Kraken crapping the bed on these back-to-backs. About halfway through the game in Colorado, 11 minutes to go in the second period, your Las Vegas Golden Knights lead in the Avalanche, 2-0 in Denver. Knights minus 1.5 is juice 35 cents. Money line minus 425. Abs to win 3-1 if you think they can pull off the comeback. So loads of live action going on, folks, and we'll keep you locked into all of it right here on VSiN. And if you're not in front of a TV right now, if you're not in the car listening on Sirius XM channel 158 right now, well, there's good news, folks. You can take VSiN with you anywhere, anytime. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Stay connected to the action wherever you go with the new and improved VSiN Watch app. It's available on your phone, tablet, and smart TV. With the VSiN Watch app, you get 24/7 live access to our audio and video streams, replays of your favorite shows like Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo so you never miss a beat, big screen streaming straight to your smart TV, and more. So what are you waiting for? Watch VSiN anywhere, anytime. Download the new and improved VSiN Watch app today. Let's go back to the diamond here. Got a full count working to Miguel Andujar, Dylan Cease. For a guy who's given up 6 runs, pitch count, not exorbitant, 46 pitches. I mean, he's yet to record an out here in the bottom of the third, so it's certainly not ideal. But again, he's given up 6 runs. You'd think it would be higher. Andujar, 1 for 1, hitting in the 6th spot for Oakland. Full count. Hits one on a hop. Machado. Throw way off the mark. Infield hit, first and second. Athletics. J.J. Bleday goes down to second. Man, Manny Machado, I mean, look, that's a really hard play. He was running, into that little corner where it jets out from, the infield to the outfield in foul territory. So, obviously, the guy's a Gold Glover. We've seen him make this play before. Looked a little nonchalant, though, for a throw that was about 15 feet wide right, Norwood. That was, come on, man. Set your feet. Tough play. No guarantee you're going to get him, but set your feet and fire it. You're throwing like a little lackadaisical on the run there, and you're almost throwing it into your own dugout. Cease gets a strike on Wilson. First and second, none out. Jacob Wilson up with a 12-game win streak. Or 12-game, hit streak to start the season. How about that? Tied for the 3rd longest in Athletics franchise history to start a season. He's 1 for 1 on the night. And he hits a grounder past the diving shortstop. Oh my God, under the glove of the left fielder. Who the hell is playing left field for the Padres? That's going to score 2. The Athletics were actually going to hold Bleday at third and have the bases loaded with no outs. And that went under the left fielder's glove. And now I feel like the Padres, that bet feels sunk. I know it's the 3rd inning, but 8-4. Shortstop had to dive. Difficult play. Left fielder, that's a routine under his glove. Who the hell is playing in left field? Got Helen Keller out there. Unreal. That's Oscar Gonzalez in for Cronenworth. Gonzalez, the former Guardian, did a lot of DHing with Cleveland as the A's are teeing off on Dylan Cease, make it 9-4 with a double. Wow. All right, that ticket's dead. Gio Urshela. Unbelievable. I guess over's the only play in Sacktown, huh? Thought San Diego's best pitcher was on the bump. The lineup is explosive. Dylan Cease can't get the 7, 8, or 9 hitters out for Oakland. 6, 7, 8 are 2 for 2 as the A's lead it 9. And Machado gave up on that ball thinking it was foul, and that was fair down the line. So everyone on San Diego right now is just disengaged, and right now they're looking like they're on another planet. Gonzalez in left field, letting the ball go under his mitt. Machado not trying. Ooh, that ball did look foul. To Machado's credit, that ball did look foul. Wow. Now Max Muncy, the other Max Muncy is up. He's 1 for 1. So A's 6 through 9 hitters are currently 7 for 7 in the 3rd inning. That's pretty astounding, huh? If you want to make it 5 through 9, they're 8 for 8. Bleday's got a hit and a walk out of the 5 spot. Dylan Cease is struggling. How many of these runs are earned? They're saying 8 earned of the 9. That can always change, but yeah, this is ugly. This is really ugly. Guy's a strikeout machine. He's got 1 on the night. Speaking of the Knights, Vegas still up 2-0. Looks like there's a review going on in that game. We'll let you know if there was an additional score. How about this? Dylan Cease, this is his 159th career start. Tied career high, 9 runs allowed. Some night to have your worst start of your life, huh? Against the freaking Athletics. That's unbelievable. Few NL West powerhouses going down on a Tuesday night. Dodgers lose it in D.C. 8-2. How about the Nationals taking the first two against LA. Dodgers started 8-0, 1-4 on the road trip. My goodness, don't look now. Technically 3-4 on the road this year. Two of those games, those should not have been Cubs home games in Tokyo. You got Ohtani, Sasaki, and Yamamoto, and those were taken away from games at Wrigley. That's a whole lot of garbage. That is crap. Dodgers had the clear home field advantage in Tokyo. So it says on the road they're 3-4. They're 1-4 in true road games, 2-0 in Tokyo. But really struggling on this road trip to Philly and DC. How about the Blue Jays escaping Fenway with a win? We gave out that parlay, right? Red Sox, Dodgers. I'd rather a parlay go 0-2 any day of the week than 1-1 or lose by 1 in general. Garrett Crochet looked fine, 5 2/3, gave up 4 runs, only 1 earned, 5 strikeouts, little light, not quite the start he had last time out. Easton Lucas, 5 1/3, 3 hits, no runs, 8 Ks for the Blue Jays. Where the hell did that come from? Kid's 2-0 now this season with a 0 ERA. Toronto 7-5. The Red Sox fall to 6-6. It's a 4-game set between the Jays and Sox. So Boston will try to get in the win column tomorrow. Tanner Houck going to be going opposite Kevin Gausman, one of Toronto's better pitchers. How'd the Sox hit? Not much. Duran, Devers, Bregman were all hot as hell when it combined 1 for 11 in this one. Campbell got another hit. He's hitting .351 on the young season. This kid, Christian Campbell, is absolutely out of this world. Great guests coming up. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. We'll keep you in on the live action. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, on a Tuesday night, taking you through the conclusion of 5 Major League Baseball games, a couple on the ice, a couple on the hardwood as well, and now taking you over to the progressive guest line as we keep an eye on some of these NBA games and get ready to talk some NFL draft odds with our friend from RotoWire, senior analyst over there, also the co-host of Prop Points right here on VSiN, Nick Whalen, joining the show. Nick, how are you, my man? Great to have you on.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Used to doing this with you on Sundays, but was doing a little traveling this weekend, so we had to move it back a couple of days. But should be fun, dude. We got a lot going on in the NBA, certainly.
Hey, always easy for us to call an audible, man. You know that Cashing Out is certainly the easiest going show on the network. Yes. You mentioned traveling, though. Now I got to ask you, where'd you go?
I was in Dallas, Texas for a little golf weekend with some friends, played 3 rounds of golf, watched the final 4, had a great time.
You know what? Dallas is a fun place to be. I've been there once. It was actually, you mentioned the Final Four. I was there for March Madness when my Bonnies were there, and I was a student reporter covering the team, 2018. We got bounced by Florida quickly, but, the hotel rooms were paid for. We had a full weekend there, and we made the most out of it. Dallas is a fun city, my man.
Absolutely, man. That was my first time. Unfortunately, part of the reason we wanted to go there is I live in Wisconsin, and it was like 34 degrees in Wisconsin this past week, thinking that we would get 78 and sunny, beautiful weather this time of year. No, it was torrential rain overnight. Courses were soaked, but we made the most of it, and certainly had a good time, watching those Final 4 games.
I'm sure it's nothing a few brews on the golf course couldn't have fixed, right, my man?
Somewhere between 6 and 10 beers, yeah.
Right. Hey, you got to go at least a beer every other hole. I think that's just the rules. I don't make them. I follow 100%. Them. But, Nick, let's get into some of this NBA action right now. Couple of live games going on. Golden State up 26 at the break in Phoenix. Warriors are in playoff mode. The Phoenix Suns won't even be in play-in mode. Did they get eliminated tonight if they lose this game, or would they have to lose one more?
Yeah, I don't think they're mathematically eliminated with a loss. They certainly will be in the very near future. I believe if the Dallas Mavericks were to beat the LA Lakers tomorrow night, that would be the final nail in the coffin for Phoenix. But it's wild, man. You got to do a lot of math these days. You got to do a lot of double checking tiebreakers all over the Western Conference. And Phoenix is down, 26 at the half right now. I gave it out on our show earlier today. Golden State -9.5. I thought was a little low, to be honest. No Kevin Durant, of course, out there for Phoenix. This team cannot score. They're 29th in defensive rating over the last 10 games. They have essentially stopped trying on the defensive end. And you just look at who the starting five is tonight for the Phoenix Suns, and it kind of puts into perspective just how bad this roster is outside of that top two of Booker and Durant. Well, you got Bradley Beal in there, who's 2 of 4 from the field. He's been a shell of himself for 2 years now. Devin Booker, that's great. Nick Richards, Ryan Dunn, Royce O'Neal. You got nothing. You got nothing. You don't have a bench in Phoenix. And I mean, this is a team, thank goodness if you're the Suns for the 76ers, because I think they've taken the mantle as the biggest disaster team of the season. They've at least taken some of that shine away from the Suns. But this is a team that has had a disaster year and is going into an offseason where I don't know what direction you go. There's not an easy fix for the Phoenix Suns. I think they're going to end up trading Kevin Durant. They're saying that they want to rebuild around Devin Booker. That's all well and good. I love Devin Booker. He's getting into his late 20s. He's not one of those guys that, if you have him on your roster, like an SGA or a Jokic or a Giannis, you're just kind of guaranteed to win 48, 49, 50 plus games. He's not quite on that level. So it's a team that's having a brutal individual season and a team that, in my mind, is looking at a pretty dark future.
Yeah, it is not a good year to be a team whose city starts with a PH in the NBA. Phoenix, Philadelphia, a couple of dumpster fires out there. And I don't use that terminology lightly in this case. Sometimes I use it lightly, but in this case, those teams have been absolute dumpster fires. Can't call the Denver Nuggets a dumpster fire, but it does make you wonder what the hell is going on when you fire a championship-winning coach with 3 games left in the regular season. So, Nick, now I'll pose the question to you. What the hell is going on in Denver?
That's what everyone's trying to figure out, Joe. And, ironically, I would like to say, this is totally unprecedented, but we went through this 3 weeks ago with the Memphis Grizzlies, right? It feels like almost the exact same scenario, but this is on another level, right? It's like, I think you could at least see some of the cracks in the foundation with the Grizzlies. You got the Ja Morant situation. They had injuries throughout the year. They disappointed last year due in large part to injuries. And it was a team that really did feel like it was in crisis. And yeah, I mean, Denver is 6-10 in its last 16 games. They have lost 4 in a row. They're slipping defensively. I get that. But like you said, 79 games have already been played. What do you expect at this point? This is not the NFL where you fire a head coach with a few games left. You want to get a look at an interim guy. I mean, even bad teams in the NBA aren't doing this. So it's wild to me. And of course, on top of letting go of Michael Malone, they essentially canned their GM as well in Calvin Booth. And reading between the lines, I've tried to consume everything I can on this story today. And it sounds like there was somewhat of a power struggle between Booth and Malone. Booth wanted him to play the young guys. Malone wanted to play guys like Russell Westbrook. Okay, sure. I mean, I think that happens on a lot of NBA rosters. So there was a power struggle, but nobody won. Like, who comes out the winner here? The GM gets fired and the coach gets fired. Like, I don't know what you're solving necessarily if you're Denver as you look ahead to the postseason. Really, the only case I think you can make for it is to make a decision this severe, this drastic at this point in the year. I think if you're the Nuggets front office, you had to look at this team and say, we don't think we have any chance whatsoever to win a title with the way this team is currently constructed with Michael Malone as the head coach. And it feels like a Hail Mary to me, right? You got a week left in the regular season and you're just hoping that something magically changes as you move on to an interim head coach. So, suddenly the Denver Nuggets kind of become an appealing first round opponent in a Western Conference where it feels like there's no easy outs early on.
Yeah, I would take him. I mean, you've got the 3 through 8 seeds all bunched in there with 1 game in the loss column separating them all. Give me the Denver Nuggets. I mean, it's a team that's in absolute disarray right now. Nick, we'll talk more NBA as we look ahead to Wednesday's slate later on. I want to talk a little NFL draft with you. We've got some time, a couple weeks before the draft, 16 days to be exact. But I got to talk to you about Shedeur Sanders because we've seen a lot of odds movement with the market with regards to who he'll be drafted by. So much so that now the Browns and Giants are the 4th and 3rd shots on your board respectively. We've got a new favorite, the Saints, plus 220. What do you make of New Orleans taking Shedeur? Will they have to move up? Will he fall to them? What do you think about that market? Or is there value further down the board with the Steelers, Giants, Browns, or someone else?
Yeah, I actually think the Saints are a pretty reasonable landing spot. And, I think the Steelers at 4-1 is interesting as well. And of course, the Steelers, I think, are picking 21st, which is not typically a quarterback spot. As far as the Saints go, picking inside the top 10, I don't think you necessarily have to worry about the teams above you taking Shedeur Sanders. We'll see on Cleveland. We'll see on the New York Giants. I would still be a little bit more worried about the Giants there. I know they brought in Jameis, they brought in Russell Wilson, but look, after what we saw with the Atlanta Falcons last year, signing Kirk Cousins to that contract and then drafting Michael Penix, I don't think anything can really be discounted here. But, the Saints, I think, are kind of the perfect situation for Shedeur Sanders, where maybe he's not the type of quarterback that you throw out there right away. You have the obvious, lame duck 1-year starter in Derek Carr, who I think has kind of worn out his welcome, but it's a situation where, both sides are really stuck with each other right now. But, if you look at the Steelers at 4-1, again, Saints are picking at 9 right now. You have a long run of teams between that 9th pick and the 21st pick that just don't really need a quarterback. I think there's a couple you can make a justification for if you're really stretching it. It's like Dallas, are they looking for a Dak succession plan? Miami, same thing with Tua. Indianapolis, do they want to take another risk on a quarterback? Probably not. Arizona would be the other one. Do they think about moving on from Kyler Murray? But if the Steelers stay put at 21, I think that becomes a really tricky spot historically to have success drafting a quarterback, Joe, right? I mean, you can find a few exceptions. Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, they were all drafted, pick 15 or later. But most of the quarterbacks who've gone in that range over the last decade or so don't tend to work out. Kenny Pickett, Mac Jones, Dwayne Haskins, Paxton Lynch, EJ Manuel, if we want to keep throwing out names. Like it just kind of becomes a quarterback dead zone. And it feels to me like that's kind of where Shedeur Sanders' draft stock has settled, right? It's like, all right, we all kind of agree, like, yeah, he's probably a first round pick, but he's not quite worth it, to go 2 or 3. So I would be looking at, some of those teams to potentially trade up if they really are in love with Shedeur Sanders. There've been some reports this week that, Pittsburgh's bringing him in and they're thinking about it. That's the one to me where if I'm looking for what I think is the best realistic value, I think I'd rather bet the Steelers at 4-1 than the Saints at 220.
Wow, Paxton Lynch, what a blast from the past. Nick, you bring up a great point.
Oh, yeah.
I think you've got a better chance at finding success with a quarterback potentially in the 3rd round than you do late in the 1st, because oftentimes late in the 1st, it feels like you're forcing it. Whereas in the 3rd round, like a Russ Wilson or someone along those lines, you're not forcing it as much. Only about 20 seconds on this one, but Ashton Genty, the Raiders, minus 140 favorites. They're the short shot to take them. Can they afford to take a running back?
Well, it's the Raiders, so anything is on the table here. It would be an extremely, extremely Raiders thing to do to take a running back when you have so many other needs, specifically on that defense. I could totally see it happening. That's kind of become the consensus mock over these last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I will still say though, Dallas at 8-1 is intriguing to me. It would also be a very Dallas Cowboys thing to do to find a way to get Ashton Genty in that building.
Absolutely. Great minds think alike. I'm looking at that and I'm salivating. More Nick, more cashing out with Joe Ceraulo up next after the break.
Cashing out here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Cashing out continues here on VSiN with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through your Tuesday night, ultimately into your Wednesday morning, and re-welcoming our friend Nick Whalen into the program, co-host of Prop Points right here on VSiN, senior analyst over at RotoWire, and also a terrific golfer. I would use some sort of terminology to say what his handicap is, but I don't even know enough about golf to go down that route. So I'm just going to say he's great. Believe me, you got to trust me on that. Nick, the Masters coming up, my man, and I would love to pick your brain on this odds board, especially when you look at it, you see Scotty, Rory, and then draw the line, and it feels like everyone else from that point on. So how do you approach that as an avid and terrific golfer yourself in Augusta?
Ooh. Well, first of all, I need to look directly into the camera here and make it very clear that I am not a very good golfer. I'm a high volume golfer. I play a lot of golf. I don't seem to be getting any better at golf. I'm like the Jordan Clarkson of golf. I'm out there, I'm getting shots up, but we're not necessarily loving what we're seeing on the scorecard.
That's terrific.
At the end of the day. Yeah, well, so looking at these odds, you're right. I mean, and this is kind of how it's been. If you've been following, the PGA Tour, of course, this season, any event where Scotty and Rory, or even one of those two, are in the field, there's just a tremendous gulf typically between them and the rest of the field. But I think that's especially notable because you got the live guys out here, right? You got John Rahm, who's the 3rd short shot right now, but he's all the way down at 13-1. I mean, basically double the odds of Rory McIlroy. You got Morikawa 17-1, Schauffele 18-1, Bryson DeChambeau 19-1, and then Ludwig Aubert, who's going to be popular this week at 20-1. First of all, I will say this, Joe. I want to give a shout out to Gil, Kelly, Matt Brown, Wes Reynolds. Really good stuff this week on the Beating the Book pod, on the Long Shots pod on the VSiN network. Implore people to check that out if you want real hard hitting Masters analysis. But one thing I would say when you're looking at these odds, like, it can be tempting to go down the board. I'll probably have some sprinkles going on some long shots, but historically, this is not an event where you have guys come out of nowhere to win. 12 of the last 13 winners at the Masters ranked 16th or better in the official world golf rankings coming into the tournament. Recent form also tends to be indicative. Guys who've struggled early in the year, struggled over even their last 2 or 3 events, don't tend to just turn it on at Augusta National. So it's not going to be fun throwing down on Scotty at 4-1, even Rory at plus 650. But I think you have to think about it. I mean, Rory especially is playing about as well as he has in recent years. Scotty's been a little bit shakier, but obviously we know what he's capable of. And I think he's judged on almost a different level than anybody else, including Rory. If you want to go beyond them, Jon Rahm at 13-1 does make some sense. He, of course, won the Masters 2 years ago. Didn't play well at Augusta last year. Missed the cut at the PGA. Ended up withdrawing from the U.S. Open. Had just kind of a bizarre season overall. But he's been lighting it up on the LIV Tour. It seems like he's in a much better headspace this year than he was in 2024. So I think he makes some sense. Justin Thomas at 25-1 is somebody I would look at. 7 top 15 finishes in his last 11 events. If you want a true long shot, though, I hate to say this, he's one of the most hated guys on tour, Joe. Patrick Reed, 90-1 to win the tournament. I don't think that's going to happen. I would say I wouldn't bet it, but I will be betting a small amount, 90-1 on Patrick Reed. In his Masters history, he has 5 top 15s, 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and 1 win back in 2018. So again, am I sitting here saying that Patrick Reed's going to win the Masters? No. But as far as guys who kind of buck the trends, it doesn't necessarily seem to matter how well he's playing, what he's doing coming into the tournament. He always does turn it on at Augusta. Maybe look at an 11-1 per se on a Patrick Reed top 5.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about that top 5 market, Nick. What would you consider your best bet? Is there a play that you love more than any others, whether it's an outright, maybe one you just gave out if you already got to it, or is there a top 5, a top 10, some other alternate market where there's a play you really like?
Yeah, I mean, I really do like the Reed one. I think other golfers I would look at, for those markets would be Russell Henley. He's another guy who's gaining some steam coming into the week. 4 top 10 finishes already this season. He was 5th at Pebble Beach. He was 6th at the Cognizant. He won the Arnold Palmer. Did slow down a bit at the Players, but still respectable finish there. Corey Connors is another guy I would look at. Another true big time long shot. JJ Spawn, who's 130-1 to win the tournament. He's 6-1 for a top 10, 3rd in strokes gained in terms of approach shots this season, 2 second place finishes in the last month and a half. So there's some value I think you could pick up in JJ Spawn.
Now, Nick, before we switch over from the Masters to the NBA, I'm going to put you on the spot here. They did have the Masters dinner Tuesday night. I got to ask you, my man, I don't know if you and Jeff have discussed this on Prop Points. What would your menu look like? At least give us the main and some sides. We don't have to go full appetizer, dessert, but give us an idea, a little sneak peek, a preview into what Nick Whalen's Masters dinner menu would look like.
Man, I really wish I would have had time to think about this. I am so not a foodie by any means. I'm a big, anything that could be microwaved or just tossed in the oven or the air fryer for a little bit.
Oh, come on. No cheese curds? You're a Wisconsin guy.
Look, I'm agnostic on cheese curds. I like them in small doses, but that's one of those things. It's like you eat 5 to 10 cheese curds. That's like eating 4 full mozzarella sticks, covered in breading and dripped in oil. I just have a little bit of an issue with that as somebody who cares a little bit about my health. But Cajun food is my favorite food, so it would have to be something Cajun, maybe a little jambalaya. We get a little gumbo on the side. I'm a big mashed potatoes guy, a big seafood guy in general. So it would certainly be Cajun seafood based.
Okay, I think Matt Brown, him and Stormy did this on Money Moves, and Matt, obviously a Louisiana guy, played his college baseball at LSU. I believe he had a little etouffee and jambalaya and kind of that kind of flair going. I'd go for the main filet mignon with a nice Maine lobster tail, a little surf and turf, and then some sort of side pasta to get the Italian flair in, and then the sides. Truffle everything, truffle mushrooms, maybe some cream truffle spinach, Just really, truffle everything on the sides. That would be the star of the show, would be truffle for me. But for a guy who sucks at golf, I've put way too much thought into what my master's dinner would be. Nick, let's take it over to the NBA. Denver following suit with the Memphis Grizzlies, shocking the world, firing their coach as they're about to inquire on making a playoff run. I mean, you look at the Nuggets now, they have to bounce back, play Sacramento. They're short favorites, just laying 2.5 in a game where they should otherwise probably be favored by more. Is this a spot to take the Kings, in your opinion? How do we approach betting the Nuggets going into the playoffs? Just 3 games left.
Yeah, it's really, really tough, of course, to get a handle on this game. And I think part of the reason that this number isn't a little bit longer in favor of Denver is Jamal Murray is out again. And honestly, one of the last things that we heard from Michael Malone before he was let go as head coach was a kind of a weird throwaway comment after their last game where he was asked, when do you expect Jamal Murray to be back? And he's like, yeah, I hope he's back for the playoffs. So that's something to monitor, not only for this final week, but as Denver does eventually move into the postseason. I mean, obviously it's a big game for the Nuggets. It's also a big game, though, for Sacramento. They're battling for position. They're trying to avoid, the Phoenix Suns doing the unthinkable and climbing back into this. They can't really move out of 9th or 10th, but they could move from 9th to 10th and end up being on the road in that what will likely be a play-in game against the Dallas Mavericks. So really difficult game to handicap for me. Totals up at 234.5. This is more of an overspot for me than anything else. Neither of these teams enjoy playing defense. Sacramento was down almost 20 to the Pistons on Monday night before rallying back in that game. They've been really inconsistent. They'll be without Malik Monk. So the over 234.5 is what I would look at there.
Nick, how about the Lakers and Mavs? Little Luka return spot, Doncic versus Davis. If everyone's healthy and can give it a go, the Lakers favored by 4.5. It is a back-to-back. They're coming off the loss at OKC in their second straight game in Oklahoma City. To me, I look at that 4.5, and my first gut inclination is to jump on the Lakers. Final minute here. Are you with me? Opposite me? What are your thoughts?
I'm with you. And this number's actually shortened up a little bit. The Lakers on Tuesday night ended up playing all of their starters against OKC, a team they had just beat on Sunday. All the indications throughout the afternoon were that they were going to essentially punt this game and go all in to beat the Mavs. They just need to win 2 of their last 4. And, Luka ends up getting ejected. Really weird game. It was super competitive. OKC closed on a 29-12 run after the Luka Doncic ejection. So, it is a true back-to-back for the Lakers. Initially it looked like it would be a kind of a rest spot. They would be coming in fresh, but I don't really care. I think Luka's going to want to stick it to the Dallas Mavericks. It's going to be a very weird environment. All the vitriol is going to be directed at Nico Harrison in the front office, not really at Luka. I think it'll actually be kind of a friendly environment for him. Anthony Davis should be out there, but he's banged up. He was clearly limited in his last game over the weekend. So I'm on the Lakers here. They know they need to win this game. They have 2 more after that, but they're a little bit dicier, playing Houston on Friday, Portland on Sunday. This is a big opportunity for the Lakers to win this game. I think they do it handily. They don't want to go into those final 2 feeling like they're under any pressure.
Nick, as always, man, really appreciate the time. Fantastic stuff. Thanks so much for hopping on.
Anytime, man. Enjoy the rest of the show.
That's our buddy Nick Whalen, terrific senior analyst over at RotoWire, and also does a great job right here on Prop Points, weekdays, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss it with him and Jeff Erickson. You know what else you don't want to miss, folks? The VSiN Summer Special, just $59, full VSiN Pro access to everything we do through August 1st. That's 50% off the regular monthly price. From Augusta to the draft, baseball, hoops, and hockey, sign up now. You'll get expert picks all summer long, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 video access on the VSiN Watch app, and more like our Kentucky Derby betting guide so you can play the ponies. Every sport, every edge, one price. Get full access through August 1st, just $59 at VSiN.com/subscribe.
Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through your Tuesday night. Couple of games still going on in the NBA. 4 of them, I believe, in baseball, and a couple on the ice as well. We'll update you on all of those as we get ready to wrap up hour 1 of the program. But first, We'll start with a game that's already wrapped up. We were just talking Lakers Mavs with our buddy Nick Whalen, the terrific co-host of Prop Points right here on VSiN. Well, like Nick pointed out, the Lakers pulled a little surprise switcheroo, ran out more starters than I think anyone anticipated in the front end of this back-to-back, the conclusion of their consecutive games in Oklahoma City. And we saw some tremendous line movement in this contest. Where did it open? Lakers at Thunder, originally catching 8.5. It got as high as 14.5 and back down at 9 to 9.5. Where it closed. So a ton of movement. We saw similar movement in the Celtics-Knicks game as well, with the favorite flip-flopping in that one. But ultimately, the Lakers give it a go, and shoot, they were up a point going into the fourth quarter. Certainly you would think that they'd cover, but nope, Oklahoma City outdid them 39-22 in the fourth, got there 136-120. Whether you laid 8.5 or 14.5, the Thunder ultimately, surprisingly, covered for you. LeBron James, 28 points for the Lakers, 7 boards. Austin Reeves, 24, 5 boards, 5 assists. And then there's Luka Doncic, who in 31 minutes amassed 23 points, 5 dimes, 3 boards, unders on all 3 of those marks, but also managed to get ejected in the night before his long-awaited, highly anticipated return to Dallas. Doncic apparently says he was jawing with a fan, might have said the wrong thing. Refs tossed him, tried to plead his case, obviously to no avail. But Doncic gets tossed, the Lakers lose. I mean, that was really, everything went downhill from that point on for LA. Dorian Finney-Smith got the start, 12 points, 4 of 8 from the floor, 4 of 8 from 3. How about the Thunder? I mean, this game, it was wild. I actually took a screenshot because I remember looking at my phone. And this game was at halftime. It was 80-72 Thunder at the half. And I mean, the third quarter, really low scoring, 26-17 Lakers. So completely a tale of two halves. You had 152 points in the first half, just 104 in the second half. But it was 80-72 OKC at halftime. It was 81-78 Celtics at the end of the third quarter at Madison Square Garden. I mean, almost identical scores, one after 3 quarters, one after just 24 minutes of work. I had to take a screenshot of that because I couldn't believe how high scoring the first half was. Thunder had 3 guys with 17 or more in the first half. Ultimately, SGA finishes with 42, 6 and 6. Jalen Williams, 26 points. Holmgren, just 14. Isaiah Hartenstein, 8 points, but 15 boards. Lou Dort, who I believe at 17 at half, finished with 17. That'd be kind of crazy if that was the case. And then Cason Wallace, 11 off the bench. 11 off the bench. So the Thunder get 5 guys in double figures in the 136-120 win over the Lakers. I'll tell you what, Nick said it. I kind of let him there. I agree wholeheartedly. Early lean, I'm looking Lakers minus 4.5. Luka, especially now you factor in the ejection. I mean, he's a guy who gets pissed off easily to begin with. Now you factor in the return to Dallas, the ejection against Oklahoma City. I think the Lakers might be primed to blow the doors off of Dallas on Wednesday night. Celtics get there in overtime. Beat my Knicks 119-117 by 2. Big third quarter for Boston. Knicks fought back in the fourth to force overtime. I thought the Knicks were going to be dead in regulation, so credit on that effort, but the Knicks still can't beat the top of the league. Cleveland, Boston, OKC. I believe the Knicks have a big fat offer against those 3 teams. Celtics opened up laying 3.5. The Knicks at one point were favored by 2.5 out there. And then Boston closed laying 2.5 pretty much across the board when it was announced that I believe virtually everyone not named Al Horford was a go. Al Horford, of course, was at the Florida-Houston national championship game. Horford, a part of those Gators teams that went back-to-back their first 2 national titles in the early 2000s. But Tatum gave it a go, played 48 out of 53 minutes. Porzingis was electric with 34 on 8 of 13 from beyond the arc. Tatum at 32, by the way, 7 boards to go with it, 5 assists, 4 of 11 from deep. Jaylen Brown, only 22 minutes, didn't really do anything. 6 points, 2 of 8 shooting. Brown, the low light of the night for this Celtics team. But Derek White looked good, 4 threes, 14 points, 9 assists, 8 boards as well. Drew Holiday added 16, but Porzingis and Tatum really led the way for Beantown. For the Knicks, Cat had a double-double, 34 and 14. Jalen Brunson added 27 and 10 assists in his own double-double. Anunoby, 13 points, 8 boards. Bridges had 14. Hart, 11 boards, 10 points. He got a double-double, 7 assists, finished just shy of the triple-double. Not just shy, but 3 assists shy. Mitchell Robinson, 7 boards off the bench to go with 4 points. Not a bad contribution from Mitch coming off the bench. But the Knicks, as they get ready for the playoffs, really struggling against these top teams. And that continues to be the story that plagues this basketball team. They now have just a 2-game lead, by the way, over the Indiana Pacers, who have won 5 straight. How about that? The Knicks sitting there at 50 and 29, Indiana 48 and 31. So it might be too little too late with, 3 games to go for each team. 2-game lead, 3 to play. But the Pacers, who bounced the Knicks a year ago in the second round of the playoffs, on their tails here. And I don't think they're going to catch them ultimately, but I wouldn't want to see Indiana right now. Pacers and Bucks have both won 5 in a row. Need the Bucks to keep winning. I don't want to see Milwaukee right now. I just don't feel great about this Knicks team in the postseason. I love this Knicks team. I think that they're incredibly talented. I mean, hey, they're one of just, 5 teams in the NBA that has 50 wins? You know, as a Knicks fan, this is what you dream of. But when those 29 losses, when they can't beat Cleveland or Boston or OKC, it's hard to get excited about the postseason because it feels like, hey, yeah, they should get by Detroit in the opening round, and then they're going to get bounced in Boston. 0-4 against the Celtics. This was their first loss to not come by double digits. How about a tie game in Colorado on the ice, huh? Knights were up 2-0 last time we checked in. Avs were 3-1 money line. 2-2. How about that? Let's get a live look at the odds there because we don't need a live look at the Warriors leading 99-70 over Phoenix. But on the ice, 2-2. Avs now 55-cent favorites. Once 3-1. Now it's the Knights who are plus 120 as dogs with 17 minutes to go in that one. On the diamond, the Athletics running away from San Diego 9-4. Baltimore has chipped away at the Arizona lead. It's gone from 4-2 to 4-3 in the 8th inning there at Chase Field. Let's refresh and see what we got there. Are they going to the 8th or are the Orioles up? Yep, headed to the 8th. O's are going to have 1, 2, and 3 up. Henderson, 0 for 3. Rutschman, 0 for 2 with a walk. O'Hearn, 1 for 3. So O's will have the top of the lineup against Arizona's bullpen, down 1. Mariners and Astros tied at 1, bottom of the 7th. J.P. Crawford up for the Mariners, facing Taylor Scott, who's out there for the second straight night. I believe Scott was a losing pitcher yesterday. And Crawford's got a guy on second with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th to try to give his team a lead going in to the 8th inning. Some games that have just wrapped up. Hey, the Cincinnati Reds, who are on the wrong side of so many 1-0 games in the early going of the season, beat San Francisco. Second night in a row that they've blanked the Giants. 2-0 behind 8 2/3 of spectacular work from Hunter Green yesterday. 1-0 tonight behind 6 beautiful innings from Nick Lodolo, who improves to 2-1 on the year with a sub-1 ERA, .96, as the Reds emerge victorious, 1-0. Brewers go to Colorado, and they get above 500. First road win of the year for Milwaukee, 7-1 over the Rockies. If you need a team to help break a negative streak, I'd say it's the Colorado Rockies, now 2-8 on the year. A lot of great stuff on the diamond to continue to get to, and we will as cashing out progresses. But VSiN fans, good news. It is time to plan your Las Vegas getaway. Circa Las Vegas owner Derek Stevens is offering you 15% off at 3 incredible properties. Circa Las Vegas, the D Hotel, and the Golden Gate. Whether you're lounging by Circa's stunning rooftop pool or enjoying all the excitement Vegas has to offer, you'll save big with the promo code VSiN15. Book your stay now, circalasvegas.com. Use that code VSiN15. You'll get 15% off. Your Las Vegas adventure starts right here. Up next, we're going to dive a little deeper into the firing of Michael Malone and look at how to bet the Nuggets or bet against the Nuggets moving forward. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo.